ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्ता नमोस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गे राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरद्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd Canto, 10th chapter, verse number 10. Sri Sukadeva Goswami is continuing to explain the questions which were raised by Parikshit Maharaj, and to answer his questions he began reciting Bhagavatam, which was spoken by Lord to Brahma and Brahma to Narada and Narada to Vyas, and Vyas taught it to Sukadeva Goswami. So he gave the 10 topics described in Bhagavatam, their definitions, and because the first topic is about creation, atra sarga visargasya sthanam poshanam utaya manvantare shanukatha nirodha muktir ashraya. So the first is sarga or creation. So he starts explaining about creation, and from the very beginning. So of course there is no beginning because it is always in cycles, but it begins when there was nothing in this particular cycle of creation, and at that time everything was submerged into the body of Lord. So therefore he says that Purusho andam vinirbhidya yada so savinirgataha atmano ainam anvichan apo ashrakshi chuchi suchi. At that time, first there was manifestation of Purusha from the Lord, because ultimately he wants to talk about the Ashraya Tattva, which is the 10th topic, and that is the Supreme Person Krishna. And to explain about him, he is explaining the creation, etc. So from Lord Krishna comes the Purusha avatar. Adya Avatara Purusha Parasya. The first Avatara is the Purusha Avatara, that is Karnadaksha Vishnu, and he comes from Lord Krishna. So that is the first manifestation which happened, and then from him came the universes. So that was described, and then he entered into the universe, and seeing it empty, he filled half of it with the water, And then he slept. He says, Tasu avatsit swasrishtasu sahasra parivatsaram tena narayano nama yadape purushodham. Then for 1000 of his years, he lied down on that. And at that time, obviously, nothing happened. And he is known as Narayana because he is lying on this water. And then he says, Dravyam karma cha kalascha svabhavo jiva eva cha yadanugrahata santi na santi avipaksha. So these are the 5 factors which are working in the material world. There is matter, karma, time, and svabhava, means the nature, and the jivas, living beings. And all these 5 function only by the grace of the Lord. And if He is not giving His grace, then they don't function. So although we are working and we think we are independent, but actually we are not independent, because if the breath, air does not go inside our body, then our independence is gone. So we are dependent on breath. To function, we are dependent on the body. So first of all, our bodily limbs must work. Hands, legs, and then brain has to work. There can be paralysis with little problem in the brain. But more than that, we are dependent on air which is outside us. Air is not even inside. At least this body, the parts are connected. But the air which we are breathing is not even connected to us. It's going out and out in. And if it goes out and does not come in, then we are dead. So yet we think we are very independent, because we take this as natural, that this breath is coming and going, it's alright. But actually, this breath also works, as it will be explained in verse number 15, by the grace of the Lord. Without that it will not function, because we are not controlling it. When we sleep, we are still breathing, and that is not in my control. When we are awake, we can say, well, I control. If I want to walk, I walk. If I want to talk, I talk. If I want to eat, I eat. Otherwise, it's in my control. But what about breathing? We are not breathing consciously. And when we sleep, we have no idea about breathing. So if the breath stops, then we are dead. So therefore he says that all these things, they work by the grace of the Lord. Yadanugrahata santi na santi yadupekshaya. Although we don't see the Lord, and we assume that things are happening without anybody's control, but that is not a fact. So just like any country or state is functioning because there is some management behind it, there is government, and there is a big department to manage things. There is law making body, there is law enforcing body, there is executive body, so there is courts. But all this we don't see. If you walk around, you don't see anything. You don't see the government. But it is there. And we only know it if we make some mistake. Then we realize that actually I am not free. So similarly, there is a management behind the universe. And we come to know it when the time for death comes. Because then we lose all control. Before that we can think that I am in control, I am independent. But at the time of death, nothing helps. Nobody can help. Our money, friends, relatives, our body, mind, nothing can help. Because Lord, He takes away. His grace which He has given in the form of acting. He gives some freedom to act, He takes it away. So that's why He says, Yad na santi yad upekshaya. When He becomes indifferent, then nothing can work. So now in the next verse he says, Eko nanatvam anvichan yoga talpat samuttitah viryam hiranmayam devo maya vasrijatridha. So Lord was one, Eka means one alone, and then he decided to be many. So therefore he got up from his yoga nidra and he made this Hiranmaya Deva, this Hiranmaya body, in three ways. Vasrijat, three manifestations. Just like above we read Adhyatmic, Adhibhautik and Adhidaivik. So Virat form, the universal form of the Lord, also exists in three ways. And that will be described here. So usually there are three divisions. There is physical gross manifestation as in the body, and then there is the senses, and then there are the deities of the senses. So the meaning is that we have body, then there is psychological level, and then there is the divine level. So physical level, psychological level and divine level. These are the three levels of manifestation in our own body, in the universe also. But science is studying is only the physical things. They are studying atoms, or they are studying the brain or the cells, or they are studying the planetary system. It is all adhibhautik. It's only the material thing. They are not studying at all what is adhidevik and adhyatmic. These two they don't know. So out of three features of material manifestation, they only know one. And beyond these three is the soul, that they know nothing about. And beyond that, the fifth is the super soul. And beyond that is the Supreme God, number 6. So they have no idea about these things. They are only stuck with the first one, just the Adhibhautik. Even about Adhidavik they have no idea. Adhyatmic, no idea. So that is the modern science, dealing with only Adhibhut. So he says that this material manifestation is in three forms: Adhidavik, Adhibhautik and Adhyatmic. Vasrijatridha, he created three. So there is a commentary on this. It says, Samasti Viradev Katham Abhut Iti Akankshayaಮ. How was the universal form created? To answer that, he says, Ekaha pralaye swansan jivan atmani vilapya ekatvena asthita. So in the beginning, Lord was alone as Karnadaksha Vishnu, and we are part of the Lord, so we were also part of his body. Vilapya means within him, and ekatvena asthita, he was situated. But then he desired anu anantaram srishti kale, when it was time to create nanatvam icchan, he decided to bring out all the souls out from his body and bring variety. Nanatvam means variety. Taneva jivan atmanah sakashad vibhaktan kurvan. So all these living beings who were within him, they were brought out, or he decided to bring them out. Yoga eva talpam sayya tasmat, and he was in the bed of yoga. His sleep is called yoga nidra because he does not sleep like us. When we sleep, we forget everything. When Lord sleeps, he is not in forgetfulness. He is still in his consciousness. So that is the meaning of Yoga Talpa or Yoga Nidra. Tasmaditi Mahapralaya Ratri Sthaniya Shaitva. So that is this dissolution, when the material universes are destroyed, that is called like the night of the Lord. And when it is created, it is called his day. So now it is his day time. All this billions of years or trillions of years for which the universe is going to stay, that is considered as his day. So it is supposed to be around 311 trillion years. For that long the creation exists. So that is his daytime. And then he takes rest for 311 trillion years. And then he creates again. So creation means when he brings out everything. Pratar Utthita San Devo Divyan. So he got up in the morning. The beginning of creation is like his morning time. So then he brushed his teeth, had a cup of coffee, and then he decided, okay, now let's do something. So he looked around. Maya Swashaktya Mahatatvadani Srishta. So first what he did, by his energy he created the elements. There are 24 elements which are used in this creation, and they are beginning from Prakriti, then Mahatattva, then Ahankar, and mind, 5 working senses, 5 knowledge gathering senses, 5 causal elements, and 5 gross elements. So that makes 24. So he created them. And these are the raw material for this universe and our bodies. Tai karya bhutam viryam hiranmayam kanakvarnam prakas bahulam brahmandam savarnam asrijat iti mahasamashti srishti. So then he created the universe using this elements, these 24 elements. He made the universe, and universe means many universes, because this is Mahasamashti Srishti. And these universes, they are very glowing, they are golden in color, very effulgent, Hiranmaya, whatever they are called. When they are seen from outside, they are very glittering. Tatasya teshame महत्त्वादीनां किंचित किंचित अंशैर भगवत शक्त्या एव परस्पर मिलितैः समष्टि विराट. So then he goes into one Brahmanda, and he takes these elements, and he created one Samasti Virat, the cosmic form. So there is Mahasamasti, and then there is Samasti. There is cosmic, and there is cosmic. Panchasat koti yojana parimita andakataha madhyagah srishto abhut. And that is within this 500 million yojana long, that Samasti Virat is there. Tadeva Adi Purusha Tadeva Andakataham Pravishya. And then the Supreme Person, Karnodak Sai Vishnu, he enters into this universal egg. So as I said yesterday, there is a big egg in which there are small eggs, and each small egg is 500 million yojana in diameter. And then he enters into it. In each one of them, there are millions of these eggs. And then Lord, he expands his body and he goes into each one of them. And these eggs, they are very glittering from outside. Therefore they are called Vrindavana. So tadardham swasrishta jalena apurya. Then he fills up the lower half of this egg by water which he creates himself. Tatrastham samashti virajam tam swajathar madhyagatam kritva sahasra varshani tasmin garbhodaya suswata. And then he takes this cosmic form which was inside this universe into himself. And then he lies down like a pregnant woman. So like when a woman is pregnant and her pregnancy is reached close to delivery, then she doesn't like to walk around. She lies down and relaxes, waits for the delivery time. So like that he also lies down. And that's why this ocean where he lies down is called Garbhodak ocean, because it is like the water, like when the baby is born, a lot of water also comes out from inside because he is floating in this water. So Lord is also lying down, because this creation is just like the creation which happens with us, like a child is born. Similar thing. Except that this water inside is inside the woman and here it is outside. And then Lord is lying down there with all the elements inside his body. Then Hiranmayam Viryam Samashti Virajam Tridha Vyasrijat. Then he divides this cosmic elements into three. Tridhaeva kim tatraha adhidevam ityadi. So then what are these three? So these three are called Adhidevam atha adhyatmam adhibhutam iti prabhu yathaikam paurusham viryam tridhami vyate tachunu. So he makes three divisions: Adhidev, Adhibhut and Adhyatmik. So just as earlier we studied that in our body we have three things. We have Adhibhut in the form of the gross body, then we have the senses, which is Adhyatma, and then we have Adhideva, the presiding deities. So similarly the universe also has three divisions: Adhideva, Adhibhuta and Adhyatma. So that he describes. Esha eva samashti tasya nabhi dwarat kamal nalatmako bhavishyati. So later on it will be described that the universe, first a lotus flower comes out from the navel of the Lord. So just like the baby is attached to the mother through this cord, umbilical cord. So like that this universe is attached to the Lord through a lotus. So one lotus comes out. So that is one form. Kamal nalatmako. Saeva punar chaturdas lokatmako vairaj sangya sthulo bhavi. And then this lotus which comes out, this becomes the 14 planetary system. There are 14 levels of creation in this universe, starting from the Patal. So there is this Bhutal where we are, and then there is Swa, there is Bhuva, Swa, And Maharloka, Janloka, Tapoloka, Satyaloka, and then there is Atal, Vital, Sutal, Talatal, Mahatal, Patal. Now these 14 levels of creation. So this is all that lotus which comes out, that becomes the 14 planetary system. So this is the gross form. This is the Adibhut. Sukshmastu Hiranyagarbha Vairaja. And the subtle form is Hiranyagarbha, the Lord himself, the Vairaj, he is called Vairaj. Visargadi Artham Chaturmukha Bhavi. And he is also called Chaturmukha, the four-headed Brahma. And he is the one who does Visarga. So the Sarga, the first creation, is done by Mahavishnu and Garbhodakshay Vishnu. And the secondary creation is done by Brahma. So Brahma is one form of Vairaja. It's also called Hiranyagarbha. And then there is this 14 planetary system, is also called Vairaja. And then there is this lotus stem coming out. So these are the three types of manifestation from the body of the Lord. He says, अथ प्रकृतम अनुसरामर्थेति अधिदैवादिकात् उक्तात् त्रिविधात् अन्यदिदं त्रिविधम्. It says that these three divisions which are described here, they are different from the three divisions described above. In verse number 8 also, he has described three divisions. Yo ayam adhyatmiko yam purusha so adhidevika yastatru bhaya vicheda purusho hi adhibhatika. So there he has talked about these three, and again he is talking about these three. So it is to be understood that one is related with the individual living being and the other is related with the cosmic being, with the universal person. And the process is similar. So sometimes there is a description of cosmic being, sometimes there is a description of the individual beings, sometimes there is a mixture. So this creation, the process of creation is very complicated the way it is described. Because sometimes they talk about at our level and sometimes they talk about at the gross level. And the reason is because we understand our own birth, how it happens. So with that we can understand how it happens at the cosmic level. Because if you can understand, if you cook rice and you take one grain, if it is cooked, then you understand the whole thing is cooked. So if you can understand the individual birth, individual creation, then you will get the idea about the cosmic creation. Because cosmic creation we don't experience. It's not within our experience. It happens at such a great period of time, and we are not present at that time having our senses. So for that reason the things are mixed together so that we can understand. So now he starts describing one by one how the senses came into existence. Says Antaha Sharire Akashat Purushasya Vicheshtataha Ojaha Saho Balam Jagge Tataha Prano Mahanasuhu. Says the ether which was inside the body of the Lord, then by his action he created the energies, sense energy the psychic energy and the physical energy. And from that, then he created the prana, which is the great life principle. So first thing which is created, because there is akash, there is space, so space has to be there, and from that he creates the power. Oja means the power of the senses, and then power of mind and power for the body, and then he created prana. So in the yoga system there is a lot of talk about prana, and we do pranayam, and when we do pranayam we are controlling our breathing, this breath, air. But this prana is actually not the air which we are breathing. It is a separate energy which is functioning inside this body, and it is also functioning within the universe. This prana is pervading everything. But we get this prana through the air. Air is the carrier of this prana, and therefore air is very necessary, because here he says that from these three energies he created prana. So this prana is not the air. Air he will talk about later on. Air will be created further down. So although we are breathing, but just like this electricity flows through a wire, it needs a medium to flow. So in the same way, prana needs medium, and air is the medium for that. So if you want energy in your body, then you have to have fresh air. These days, prana is not available to people because mostly they are sitting in closed rooms. And the food also does not have prana because it is not fresh. Fresh food, especially in the West, is very difficult to get. Everything is packed.
Actually, one question. I understood that prana you can find even in very contaminated air, like a question we asked in, I did a yoga course, and it's like, is it good to do pranayam in like a very polluted city, because you're breathing in and you're like holding the air, no? And the answer they gave us is good because prana is...
You can do pranayam, there is no problem, but there is not much prana in this air. If you want to get prana, you go to the forest, open area. That's where you get. Because you see, he says that it is from the open space he created these three energies, and from that came prana. And you can feel it yourself. You go to the open and have fresh air, you feel rejuvenated. And you go to a congested area, you feel exhausted because you are not getting enough prana. Same with the food. You take fresh vegetables and eat with them fresh fruits, you get energy. You don't need to eat so much. These days people eat a lot because they are not getting their prana, so they need to eat more. But if you have nice fresh food without chemicals and not like it is packed, then you don't get much prana in that. Now everything is already 1 week, 10 days old. It is picked up from the fields, then it is packed, then it is transported, then distributed, then you bring it and you keep it in your fridge for another week. And that fridge is also closed, so there is no prana. And especially people eat so much of this meat, it has no prana. It is lifeless. So that is the thing, that this prana therefore is very important, And there are three things which are related with this: the power of the senses, power of the mind, and the physical power. So all three are related with prana. if you have good prana, then you will have good physical strength, mental strength, and sense power. And when prana is not enough, when body feels weak, you become depressed, dejected. This is a problem with many people these days. So Sri Vishnu Chakravarti comments, Antah Sharire ya akasas tasmat kriya shaktiya tatra vividham cheshta manasya purushasya samashti viraya. So from within his body, this Purusha, the cosmic person, while performing various actions using his Kriya Shakti. There are three types of energies we have. We have energy to act, energy to think, and energy to will. Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti, and Ichha Shakti. So with his Kriya Shakti, he created. And therefore Pran has the power to act. This is very important. And in yoga, therefore, pranayama is practiced, because if you want to control your mind, which is one of the purpose of yoga, then controlling prana is important. If you can control, because controlling mind is very difficult, it is so subtle you don't see it, and you try to control it, it controls you. It runs here and there. But this prana, which is in the air, that is more gross than the mind, so that you can control physically. And by controlling that, you can control your mind. This is the philosophy behind pranayama. So that also you can understand from this verse which is describing about prana. Oja, Indriya Shakti. Oja means, this Oja, Saha and Bala, literally they all three means power. But there are different types of power. It's like there is electric energy, there is magnetic energy, there is static energy, there is nuclear energy. So they have different names. So similarly, Oja here means the power of the senses. And Saho Manashakti. Saha means the power of the mind. And Balam Deha Shakti is the power of the body. Tataha Trivida Shaktiatmakat Sukshmat Rupat Pranaha Sutrakhya Mahan Shrestha. So from these three types of energies, then he created prana. And this prana is also called sutra. And it is also called Mahan or great. And it is also called life, because when prana is there, life is there. When prana is not there, life is not there. So in India we say when somebody dies, then we say that his prana has left. So if prana leaves the body, then person is dead, because the soul is hanging inside the prana, in the heart region. So when death means that the prana is leaving the body and it doesn't come, the air is still there inside, but the prana has left. So the soul goes along with the prana and takes another body. And the various functions in our physical body, they are performed with the help of this prana. Therefore he says that this is the indicator of life, Jivana Vyanjaka. This prana. Then in the next verse he says, Anu prananti yam prana, pranantam sarvajantushu, apanantam apananti nardevam ivanava. He said just like a king is followed by his servants, in the same way all our senses, they work because of the prana, the life air. There is one story in the Upanishad that once the senses in our body, they had a meeting. They said we should choose one chief, because if there is a family or there is an organization, society, company, then there is one person who is the head and everybody works under him or her. So he says that we are working in this body, we should also have one person who is the chief among us, so that we all follow. Now the question was that who will be the chief? So eyes said, well, I am the chief, because without me everything is dark. And the mouth said, I am the chief, if there is no food, what eyes can do? They are finished. And the ear said, without me you cannot hear, you know nothing. So everybody was giving their own logic that I want to be the chief. And everybody wants to be the president. So then they said, okay, let's do an experiment to figure out who is important. It says everybody will leave the body one by one and then see whether body can still function. So first the eyes left the body. The person is still alive. Okay, he cannot see, but he can talk, he can smell, he can walk, he can also hear, he can sing a song. So he says, we are not important. So he came back. Then the ears left, and still person is alive. So one by one, every sense left, and the person was still alive. And finally the prana left, life air. And when the prana left, then all the senses were running behind him that please don't leave, because without you we are getting suffocated. So then prana became the chief. So this verse is also saying, Anuprananti yam pranaha pranam tam sarvajantushu. It says in all living beings, prana is the chief. And it is prana which gives life to the senses. And if prana is giving life to the senses, then the senses function. And if prana stops giving life, then it says apanantam apananti. If he leaves, then the senses cannot. So when the person is dead, then you can see his eyes are there, you can try to open them, they don't see. Because the senses also leave with the prana. This is only just the physical instrument. It's not the eyesight. Or the hearing power is not there. There is sound, but you don't hear anything. So the sense of hearing has left, because they cannot live without prana. And Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gita, that this, when prana leaves, so he said just like when the air moves, it takes fragrance along with it. In the same way with prana, everything goes. So he comments on this. So he says, Jivan Vyanjakatvena Mahatvam Darshayati Anuiti. It says because prana is the indicator of life, and therefore it is very important. That's why it is being described here in this verse separately. Prana Indriyani, there are two words, twice prana is used. Once it means the life air, another time it means the senses. Yam pranante chestam kurvantam tamanu paschat prananti chestam kurvanti apanantam chestam tajantam anu apananti rajanam anu bhrityaya. So he said, when the prana is functioning, then the senses also function because of that. And if the prana leaves, then they also leave immediately. They cannot stay even for a moment in the body without life air. So just like the servants follow the king, or if you have seen the bees, the honey bees, then they have a queen bee and all other are the servant bees. So the servant bees, they follow the queen bee. Wherever she will go, they go. If she is killed, they will also kill themselves. They cannot stay without her. So this is how the senses are functioning. Now it says pranena kshutta akshut tadanta jayate prabho pipasato jakstascha prang mukham nirbhidyata. Now he talks about creation as if there is only life in the body. So first there was a space in the body, and from that space he created life air. When the life air came, then there was hunger. This hunger which we feel in our stomach, this is also by life air. So if people have lack of hunger, then there are also pranayams prescribed how to increase your digestive power. And Krishna says also in Bhagavad Gita, prana pan samayukta pachami annam chaturum aham vaishvanaro bhutva praninam deham asthita. He says that I digest the food through Vaishvana fire by keeping prana and pan in their balanced state. Prana pan samayukta pachami annam chaturvedam. So prana is very important for digesting the food. And even our speech which we are speaking, it is with the help of prana. If a person has weak prana, then he cannot speak. His voice will not come out. Because the speech happens with the help of prana and fire, with the combination of fire element and the prana. These two help us to speak. So here is saying that when prana was created, then this person, which is being described here, he started feeling hungry. And when there was hunger, then there was no mouth. So how to satisfy the hunger? If you are hungry, you need a mouth. So then the mouth came into existence. So that's how first mouth came. So in the creation also, there are cells, amoebas, they don't have any other sense, but they can eat, right? They don't have ear to hear, they don't have eyes to see, but one thing they have is they also eat. So here this body has life air in it. That means these cells also have life air in them. And all they have is eating. They eat, they grow, then they divide themselves. They eat, they grow, they divide themselves. So they have life air. If the life air was not there, they will not function. So they only have mouth, no other sense. So first the mouth came. Therefore, in Sanskrit, there is a word called mukhya. Mukhya means the chief or the first. And it is called chief or the first because it comes from the word mukha, because mukha means mouth. Mouth in Sanskrit is called mukha. And that is the first. It's also battery is also going. I think it eats so much battery. We'll stop after this.
Should I put something like
So therefore he says that pranayana kshiptakshuta, because prana was flowing in the body, therefore the person was disturbed by hunger. And pipasto, and then there was also thirst. So wherever there is life, there is need for food and there is need for water. Every life exists on water and food. Jakstascha prang mukham nirbhidyata. And because there was hunger, then there was desire to eat. And because there was desire to eat, then mouth manifested in this body. So the first thing therefore is the mouth coming in existence. Shipta chalayata nimittena chutradadikam jayate sma. Because the prana was flowing in the body, therefore it gave birth to hunger and thirst. Prabhoritu upasnartham tatra samasto parameswaratvarupa. And it is called Prabhu or Lord because it is the cosmic body, and cosmic body is a representative of the Lord. It's not the Lord, but is treated like the Lord, and therefore the word Prabhu or Lord is used for it. Tatoho jakshata bhakshaitum ichhata iti artha. So then there was desire to eat prak prithmam nirbhidyata vibhaktam. So the first thing which came out was the mouth. So I don't know how the child grows in the womb. I would like to know, maybe first there is mouth which develops in the baby. Because it's also the step by step manifestation of physical body at individual level. So I'll stop here. Any question or I stop?
There is a verse from Vishnu Purana which is often quoted. It's go like Para asya shakti vivitha eva shruyate svabhaviki and jnana bala kriyacha. Can you please explain the background behind these different energies like jnana bala kriyacha, like from this statement from Vishnu Purana, and in this quote from Bhagavatam, is actually the same energy or the same energies? Or is it are different?
Same energy. Because Kriya is the action, Jnana is the cognitive potency. So you have two types of senses, Karmendriya and Jnanendriya, working senses and the cognitive senses. And besides that you have mind, where you desire. So that is Ichha Shakti, or it is called sometimes Bala. So Jnana Bala Kriya.
And does this statement from Vishnu Purana means that these three energies, Jnana Bala Kriyacha, are Svabhaviki?
That is about the Lord. Actually this verse is not from Vishnu Purana, this is from I think Sweta Sweta. What it means is that Lord has these energies naturally. So Bhavaki Jnana Bala Kriya. So that is to show that he is not dependent on anyone else. As he is being described here as Ashraya, Ashraya, shelter of all shelters. So he is the fountainhead of all energies. And it also signifies that he is not impersonal or without any potency. That is the meaning of Swabhavaki, natural, inherent. They are intrinsic in his nature.
I want to know if are we all born with the same amount of prana, or some people have more prana.
Some people have more.
More prana.
Yes.
Just by birth.
Yes.
And then through life, does everybody have the same chances of obtaining prana? Or like potentially?
Well, that depends on your actions and your endeavor. But also same prana, because you have a body and you have a capacity. So everybody has different capacity to absorb prana. So it is not same for all. So that's why some people can become big athletes. Others, even if they practice same, they cannot do the same because they don't have the capacity to absorb that much prana.
Yeah, because I was asking also because what I had heard is that prana tends to equal itself. So if you're with a person that has a lot of prana and you have a low prana, the prana of that person tends to go to you, like, tends to level itself from up to down. I don't know if I...
So then the other person will become weak. It is possible, but it is not that it has to be like this. He can give you energy and still he doesn't become weak. He can get more prana. Prana is not limited. This universe is full of it. So you can still derive more prana. And if prana tends to balance, then there is so much prana outside, then it should also tend to balance. Those who are weak, they should naturally become strong. Okay. Narrow, it's why it takes so much battery. This battery is finished.
They were put yesterday, day before yesterday. They were put yesterday, day before yesterday. Maybe also the batteries are very weak.
Now it's maybe 15 minutes.
No, yesterday it took like very. Normally it stayed like for 4 hours. But let's see. Maybe only.
Today it was not more than 15 minutes.
No, definitely not.
And yesterday, say half an hour eventually.
But I also think that these Indian batteries are not so strong.
Yeah, it's already there.
These batteries are very light. I stopped from